Noah Jackson's heart races as he steps off the shuttle onto the shimmering surface of Soleil, the alien pheromones already wreaking havoc on his senses. The diplomatic mission hangs by a thread before it even begins. The planet's blue sun casts an otherworldly glow across the landing pad, illuminating the gathered crowd of Soleil officials. Their iridescent scales reflect the light in mesmerizing patterns. But one figure stands out among the rest. Karina, Noah's assigned liaison, approaches with fluid grace. Her large, expressive eyes lock onto his, and Noah feels a jolt of electricity course through his body. "Welcome to Soleil, Dr. Jackson," Karina says, her voice melodious and alluring. "We're honored to host Earth's first diplomatic delegation." Noah extends his hand in greeting, forgetting for a moment the cultural differences between their species. As their skin makes contact, Karina shudders visibly, a soft gasp escaping her lips. She quickly pulls away, confusion and something else, desire, flashing across her features. The formal welcome ceremony begins, but Noah can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong. Other Soleil officials seem agitated, their scales shifting colors rapidly. Whispers ripple through the crowd, and Noah catches fragments of concerned conversations. Suddenly, Karina grabs his arm and pulls him aside. Her touch sends another wave of shivers through her body. She leans in close, her breath hot against his ear as she whispers, "Human, why are you making me wet down there?" Noah's mind reels as he processes her words. The implications are staggering. Human pheromones must be having an unexpected and powerful effect on Soleil physiology. This could derail the entire mission if not addressed immediately. As Noah struggles to formulate a response, he notices a group of Soleil elders huddled together, casting worried glances in his direction. Their agitation is palpable, and Noah realizes the gravity of the situation. If they decide to terminate the alliance discussions and quarantine the humans, years of preparation and the hope for peaceful interstellar relations could be lost in an instant. Karina's grip on his arm tightens, her inner conflict evident in her trembling form. "What's happening to me?" she asks, her voice a mix of fear and longing. Noah's scientific mind kicks into overdrive, analyzing the possible biological mechanisms behind this phenomenon. He needs to find a way to control or neutralize the human pheromone effect, and fast. The fate of human-Soleil relations hangs in the balance. As if the situation couldn't get any more complicated, Noah spots a sleek, dark vessel hovering at the edge of the spaceport. Its design is distinctly different from both human and Soleil ships. With a sinking feeling, he recognizes it as a gem Hadar craft. The rival alien race must be monitoring the situation, ready to exploit any conflict between humans and Soleil. Time is running out. Noah must navigate this biological and political minefield, find a solution to the pheromone problem, and somehow salvage the diplomatic mission. All while grappling with his own growing attraction to Karina and the weight of representing humanity in this crucial first contact. With a deep breath, Noah squares his shoulders and prepares to face the challenges ahead. The future of interstellar peace depends on his next move. Noah's mind raced as he weighed his options. The pheromone situation threatened to unravel years of careful diplomacy, but he refused to let this setback derail the mission. With a steadying breath, he turned to Karina. "We need access to your biological research facilities," he said, his voice low and urgent. "There has to be a scientific explanation for these reactions, and I'm determined to find it." Karina nodded, her scales shimmering with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. "I'll speak with the elders immediately, but Noah, you must understand the risk. Our people are unsettled by these developments." Within hours, Noah found himself standing in a state-of-the-art laboratory, surrounded by equipment both familiar and alien. The Soleil elders had granted his request, albeit with strict conditions. A team of Soleil scientists watched his every move, their scaled features a mask of professional curiosity and personal wariness. Karina stood by his side, her presence both a comfort and a distraction. As they worked, Noah couldn't help but notice the way her scales rippled when their hands brushed accidentally, or how her large eyes followed his movements with rapt attention. Days blurred together as Noah immersed himself in the intricacies of Soleil biology. He pored over genetic sequences, analyzed pheromone receptors, and conducted countless experiments. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. "It's here," Noah said one evening, pointing to a complex molecule on the holo display. "The Selae have a unique olfactory receptor that human pheromones are inadvertently stimulating. It's causing a cascade effect in your nervous system." Karina leaned in close, her breath warm on Noah's cheek as she studied the display. "Fascinating, but can you neutralize it?" Noah nodded, trying to ignore the electricity that seemed to crackle between them. "I think so, but I'll need more time." As they worked side by side, Noah found himself opening up to Karina about life on Earth, human customs, and his own hopes for the future. In turn, she shared stories of Selae culture, the intricacies of their social structures, and the rich history of her people. One night, as they took a break from their research, Karina's hand found Noah's. "I've never felt this way about anyone," she whispered, her scales flushing a deep, iridescent blue. Noah's heart raced, but he gently pulled his hand away. "Karina, we can't. Not while the pheromones are affecting you. It wouldn't be right." She nodded, understanding, but clearly disappointed. "You're a good man, Noah Jackson." Their moment was interrupted by a commotion outside the lab. A group of Selae citizens had gathered, their agitation visible in the rapid color changes rippling across their scales. Noah caught fragments of their angry shouts. "Humans out! Protect our people!" Karina's features tightened with worry. "The situation is deteriorating. We're running out of time." Noah redoubled his efforts, working around the clock to develop a neutralizing agent. But as he neared a breakthrough, he noticed something odd. Some of his test results didn't align with his calculations. At first, he attributed it to fatigue, but a pattern soon emerged. "Someone's been tampering with our work," he told Karina in a hushed voice, careful not to alert the other scientists in the lab. But who? And why? As Noah pondered this new complication, an alert flashed across his comm device. It was an encrypted message from Earth Command. "Jackson, Gem Hadar presence, detected in Selae space, suspect infiltration, secure alliance at all costs, trust no one." Noah's blood ran cold. He scanned the lab, his eyes falling on each of the Selae scientists. One of them, a quiet researcher named Krell, met his gaze for a fraction too long before looking away. Before Noah could act on his suspicion, alarms blared throughout the facility. A holographic display flickered to life, showing the Selae capital in chaos. Crowds filled the streets, their scales flashing in agitation. A voice boomed over the commotion. A Selae politician Noah recognized as council member Zara. "The humans must be expelled," Zara's amplified voice rang out. "Their presence threatens the very fabric of our society. We cannot allow this biological attack to continue." Noah turned to Karina, his expression grim. "We're out of time. I've identified a compound that could suppress the pheromone sensitivity, but it requires a rare mineral, one that's only found in your deep ocean trenches." Karina's eyes widened. "The abyssal chasms? Noah, that's incredibly dangerous. The pressure alone could kill you, not to mention the predators that lurk in those depths." "We don't have a choice," Noah replied, his eyebrows furrowed. "If we don't get that mineral, this whole mission falls apart. Karina, I need your help. Will you guide me?" For a moment, Karina hesitated, her scales shifting through a kaleidoscope of colors. Then with a nod, she made her decision. "I'll do it. For my people, for our future alliance, and for you, Noah." As they hurried to prepare for the perilous underwater expedition, Noah cast one last glance at the lab. Krell was watching them, his expression unreadable. Noah's instincts screamed danger, but he had no time to investigate further. With the city in turmoil and a potential saboteur in their midst, Noah and Karina raced against time. They donned specially designed deep-sea suits, each movement bringing them closer to a mission that could mean life or death, not just for them, but for the future of human-Selae relations. As the airlock sealed behind them and the first rush of water engulfed their suits, Noah met Karina's eyes through their helmets. In that moment, despite the chaos and uncertainty that surrounded them, a spark of hope ignited in his chest. Whatever challenges the alien ocean held, whatever dangers lurked in the depths, they would face them together. The airlock hissed shut behind them, and the first rush of water engulfed their suits. Noah met Karina's eyes through their helmets, a spark of commitment igniting in his chest. Whatever challenges the alien ocean held, they would face them together. As they descended into the depths, the world around them transformed. Bioluminescent coral forests stretched as far as the eye could see, casting an ethereal glow that danced across their suits. Noah marveled at the alien beauty, but remained acutely aware of their mission's urgency. "We need to reach the abyssal chasms," Karina's voice crackled through the comm system. "The mineral we seek is found only in the deepest trenches." They swam through schools of translucent, multi-eyed creatures that scattered at their approach. Noah's scientific curiosity battled with his sense of caution as they encountered increasingly bizarre and potentially dangerous lifeforms. Suddenly, a massive shape loomed out of the darkness. A serpentine creature with rows of razor-sharp teeth lunged at them. Noah reacted instinctively, activating his suit's defensive measures. A pulse of energy repelled the attacker, but the creature circled back for another attempt. "Karina, evasive maneuvers," Noah called out. They worked in tandem, using the coral structures for cover and their suit's propulsion systems to outmaneuver the predator. Karina's intimate knowledge of Sele marine life proved invaluable as she guided them to safety. As they descended deeper, the pressure on their suits intensified. Noah felt the strain in every joint, a physical reminder of the crushing depths they were braving. The tension mirrored the growing connection between them, forged in the crucible of shared danger. Hours into their expedition, Karina's voice cut through the silence. "Noah, look! Those structures? They're not natural." Ahead of them, barely visible in the gloom, stood the unmistakable outlines of an ancient city. Crumbling spires and arches, long claimed by the sea, stretched before them. They had stumbled upon a piece of hidden Sele history. As they explored the underwater ruins, Noah's scientific mind raced. The architecture and artifacts suggested contact with other alien species, far predating current Sele records. This discovery could reshape their understanding of Sele history and its place in the galaxy. Their investigation was cut short by a chilling screech that reverberated through the water. A massive tentacled creature, unlike anything Noah had ever seen, emerged from a nearby chasm. Its eyes, glowing with bioluminescence, fixed on them with predatory intent. The creature struck with lightning speed, its tentacles wrapping around Noah's suit. He struggled against its grip as Karina fired her suit's weapons, trying to free him. In the chaos, Noah's helmet cracked, water seeping in. With alarm klaxons blaring in his ears, Noah made a split-second decision. He released the seal on his damaged helmet and pulled it off, fully expecting the crushing pressure and lack of oxygen to kill him instantly. Instead, he found himself breathing. The oxygenated water filled his lungs, a strange but not unpleasant sensation. Karina's gasp of surprise came through the comm system. "Noah, how is this possible?" He had no time to ponder the implications of this unexpected compatibility between human and Sele biology. The creature was still upon them, and their oxygen reserves were dwindling. Working together, they managed to break free from the monster's grasp and find shelter in an air pocket within the ruins. As they caught their breath, the adrenaline of their near-death experience and their physical proximity brought their faces close together. For a moment, the mission, the diplomatic crisis, everything else faded away. Noah found himself lost in Karina's alien yet beautiful features. Their lips met in a kiss that transcended species, a moment of connection in the depths of an alien ocean. The tender moment was interrupted by a pulsing glow emanating from deeper within the ruins. Intrigued, they followed the energy signature, their hands intertwined. What they found shook Noah to his core. A device of clear gem Hadar design stood before them, its presence in these ancient Sele ruins impossible to explain away as coincidence. "This changes everything," Noah breathed, his mind racing with the implications. The gem Hadar connection to the Sele goes back further than anyone realized. Before they could fully process their discovery, the water around them stirred. Sleek, dark shapes materialized from the gloom. Gem Hadar deep-sea operatives. At their head was a figure Noah recognized from intelligence briefings. Commander Vex, one of the Gem Hadar's most cunning tacticians. I'm afraid I can't allow you to leave with that information. Vex's voice resonated through the water, cold and menacing. Noah and Karina exchanged a glance, their earlier intimacy replaced by steadfast perseverance. They were outnumbered and outgunned, trapped in the depths of an alien ocean. But they had come too far to give up now. As the gem Hadar closed in, Noah's mind raced, searching for a way out. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, and their next move could decide it all. As the gem Hadar closed in, Noah's gaze darted around the underwater ruins, searching for an escape route. Suddenly, his eyes locked onto a narrow crevice in the ancient stonework. He squeezed Karina's hand and nodded towards the opening. Without a word, they propelled themselves through the water, narrowly evading Vex's grasp. The pair navigated a maze of crumbling corridors, their pursuers close behind. Noah's lungs burned as he adjusted to breathing the alien water, but he pushed through the discomfort. They emerged from the ruins into open water, where their suits' propulsion systems gave them an advantage. "We need to surface," Karina shouted through the comm. "The mineral. We still need it for the compound." Noah nodded, his mind racing. As they ascended, he formulated a plan. "We'll have to synthesize it at the lab. There's no time to return to the abyssal chasms." Upon reaching the surface, they were greeted by chaos. The city was in uproar, with crowds of agitated Salai filling the streets. Noah and Karina rushed to the human delegation's quarters, where Noah hastily set up a makeshift lab. As Noah worked tirelessly to combine the rare mineral with other chemical components, the protests outside grew louder. Anti-human sentiment reached a fever pitch, with chants and shouts echoing through the building. Karina's condition worsened rapidly. The Saleh medical team, summoned to assist, appeared baffled by the gem Hadar toxin. Noah glanced at Karina's pale scales, his heart clenching with worry. A thought struck him. His newfound ability to breathe underwater. Could it be the key? Noah hypothesized that his altered physiology might produce antibodies capable of neutralizing the gem Hadar poison. In a desperate move, Noah prepared a syringe with a small amount of the gem Hadar toxin. He steeled himself, then plunged the needle into his arm. The effect was immediate and violent. Noah's vision blurred, and he stumbled, catching himself on the edge of the workbench. Karina reached out weakly. "Noah, what have you done?" Through gritted teeth, Noah managed a smile. Testing a theory. Minutes ticked by as Noah fought against the toxin's effects. Gradually, the symptoms subsided. He drew a blood sample, his hands shaking slightly, and analyzed it. His hypothesis was correct. His blood was producing antibodies. Working feverishly, Noah synthesized a crude antidote and administered it to Karina. Her breathing steadied and color returned to her scales. Noah allowed himself a moment of relief before turning back to the pheromone-suppressing compound. As he neared completion, the lab door burst open. Krell, the quiet Seeley researcher, stood in the doorway, a weapon trained on Noah. "Step away from the compound," Krell growled, his scales rippling with menace. Noah raised his hand slowly. "Krell, you're the gem Hadar spy." Krell's eyes darted to Karina, who was still weak but conscious. "I'll be taking her with me. She'll make excellent leverage against both humans and Saleh." Noah tensed, ready to spring into action. As Krell moved towards Karina, Noah lunged, drawing on newfound strength from his altered physiology. They grappled fiercely, crashing into lab equipment. Beakers shattered and chemicals spilled across the floor. In the struggle, the container holding the pheromone-suppressing compound toppled. Its contents vaporized, filling the air with a fine mist. To everyone's surprise, Krell recoiled, his scales shifting rapidly in distress. Noah seized the opportunity, pinning Krell to the ground. As he secured the gem Hadar spy, his mind raced. The compound had affected Krell, suggesting a shared biological receptor between gem Hadar and Saleh. This unexpected revelation provided Noah with crucial leverage. The gem Hadar's interest in sabotaging the human-Saleh alliance stemmed from their own biological vulnerability to humans. Noah activated his comm device. "This is Dr. Noah Jackson. I need an emergency meeting with the Saleh Council and human delegation, now." As security personnel arrived to take Krell into custody, Noah helped Karina to her feet. Their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Noah gathered his evidence and findings, prepared to present them to the council. As they made their way to the council chambers, the city's unrest pressed in around them. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, and Noah knew that what happened in the next few hours would shape the future of human-Saleh relations forever. As Noah and Karina entered the Saleh council chambers, the tension in the air was palpable. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, and Noah knew that what happened in the next few hours would shape the future of human-Saleh relations. Noah presented his findings to the assembled council members and human delegates. He explained the connection between the gem Hadar toxin, his unexpected ability to breathe underwater, and the pheromone-suppressing compound. The revelation of the shared biological receptor between gem Hadar and Saleh sent ripples of shock through the chamber. As the implications of Noah's discoveries sank in, the mood in the room shifted. The Saleh council members exchanged meaningful glances, while the human delegates whispered among themselves. Noah could sense the weight of his words altering the course of history. In the days that followed, the political landscape of Saleh underwent a seismic shift. The exposure of the gem Hadar plot and the newfound biological link between humans and Saleh led to the formation of the Saleh Human Joint Research Committee. Noah, with his unique ability to breathe underwater, became the focal point of this groundbreaking initiative. The committee wasted no time in setting up a state-of-the-art research facility. Noah found himself at the center of a whirlwind of activity, subjected to a battery of tests and examinations. Scientists from both species worked tirelessly, probing the extent of Noah's transformation and its implications. During one particularly intense session, Noah lay on an examination table, surrounded by an array of complex machinery. A Saleh scientist carefully extracted a sample of his blood, while a human doctor monitored his vital signs. "Dr. Jackson, we're detecting some anomalies in your genetic structure," the Saleh scientist announced, her eyes widening as she studied the results. "It appears that your DNA is incorporating elements of Saleh genetic material." Noah's mind reeled at the implications. He glanced at Karina, who stood nearby, her face a mask of concern. She had insisted on being present for all tests, her protective instincts in full force. "What does this mean for Noah?" Karina asked, her voice tight with worry. The human doctor stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "We're not entirely sure yet, but it seems that Dr. Jackson's extended exposure to the Saleh environment, combined with his intimate contact with Saleh individuals, has triggered this change." Noah couldn't help but notice the pointed look the doctor gave Karina as he said, "intimate contact." He felt a flare of defensiveness on her behalf, but before he could speak, another scientist called out from across the lab. "Dr. Jackson, can you come here for a moment? We've noticed something unusual on the imaging scans." As Noah moved to the imaging station, he caught sight of his reflection in a polished surface. He froze, staring at his image in disbelief. Small, iridescent patches of scales had begun to appear on his skin, shimmering under the harsh laboratory lights. The changes weren't limited to his appearance. Over the next few weeks, Noah discovered he had developed enhanced strength and improved underwater vision. While these abilities fascinated the scientific community, they began to create a rift between Noah and his human colleagues. One afternoon, as Noah entered the research facility's cafeteria, he overheard a group of human scientists discussing him in hushed tones. "Is he even still human?" one of them whispered, eyeing Noah warily. "I don't know, but it's freaking me out," another replied. "Did you see those scales?" Noah's appetite vanished. He turned and left the cafeteria, his mind a whirl of conflicting emotions. He found himself wandering to the facility's aquatic testing area, where he often went to clear his head. As he stood at the edge of the massive tank, Karina approached him silently. Without a word, she took his hand in hers, her scales cool against his skin. "You heard them, didn't you?" she asked softly. Noah nodded, unable to meet her eyes. "I don't know where I fit anymore, Karina. I'm not fully human, but I'm not Saleh either. I'm something in between." Karina squeezed his hand. "You're you, Noah. That's all that matters." Their moment of connection was interrupted by the arrival of council member Zara. Her eyes narrowed as she took in their clasped hands. and Noah could almost see the wheels turning in her head. "Dr. Jackson, Ms. Karina," Zara said, her voice coolly professional. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." Noah and Karina quickly separated, but the damage was done. As Zara turned to leave, Noah caught a glimpse of persistence in her eyes. He knew with a sinking feeling that their relationship had just become a matter of official interest. Later that evening, as Noah and Karina walked along the shoreline of Soleil's alien ocean, they discussed the day's events in hushed tones. "Zara's going to investigate us," Noah said, his voice tinged with frustration. "As if we don't have enough to deal with already." Karina nodded, her bioluminescent patches glowing softly in the twilight. "The council is divided on the issue of human-Soleil relations. Zara represents the conservative faction that's still skeptical of the alliance." Noah sighed, running a hand through his hair. As he did so, he felt the small patches of scales on his arm, a constant reminder of his changing nature. "What are we going to do, Karina?" She turned to face him, her alien features beautiful in the fading light. "We keep moving forward, Noah, together." As they stood there, the waves lapping at their feet, Noah felt a sudden, intense connection to Karina. It was as if he could sense her thoughts, her emotions, as clearly as his own. The sensation was both exhilarating and terrifying. "Karina," he whispered, his voice filled with wonder and confusion. I think I can hear your thoughts." Her eyes widened in surprise, then understanding. "Telepathy," she breathed. "It's a Soleil trait. Noah, your transformation, it's accelerating." As they grappled with this new development, neither of them noticed the figure watching them from the shadows. Ambassador Elena Reyes, newly arrived from Earth, observed the couple with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. Her mission to salvage the human-Soleil alliance had just become far more complicated than she could have ever imagined. As Noah and Karina walked back to the research facility, their minds reeling from the discovery of their telepathic connection, they were unaware of the storm brewing around them. The next morning, they were summoned to an urgent meeting with the Soleil Council and human delegation. The council chambers were filled with a tense atmosphere as Noah and Karina entered. Council member Zara stood at the center, her scales rippling with barely concealed agitation. "Dr. Jackson, Ms. Karina," Zara began, her voice sharp, "it has come to our attention that your relationship has progressed beyond professional boundaries. In light of Dr. Jackson's ongoing transformation, the Council has decided to subject you both to a series of rigorous tests." Noah felt a surge of indignation. "Tests? What kind of tests?" Ambassador Elena Reyes, who had arrived from Earth the previous day, stepped forward. "The tests are designed to evaluate your compatibility and the potential consequences of your union. They include physical endurance trials, psychological evaluations, and genetic compatibility assessments." Karina's hand tightened around Noah's. Through their newfound telepathic link, he could sense her grit and a hint of fear. "We'll do it," Karina declared, her voice steady. "We'll prove that our relationship is viable and beneficial to both species." The test began the following day. Noah and Karina found themselves in a massive aquatic arena, surrounded by observers from both species. As they dove into the water, Noah felt a surge of power coursing through his body. His movements became fluid and graceful, propelling him through the water with incredible speed. Karina matched his pace, her natural Soleil abilities allowing her to keep up. Through their telepathic link, they coordinated their movements with uncanny precision, weaving complex patterns through underwater obstacle courses. As they emerged from the water, Noah caught sight of the astonished faces of the human scientists. He overheard one of them whisper, "Is he even human anymore?" The physical trials continued for days, each one more demanding than the last. Noah's abilities continued to develop, surprising even himself. During one particularly grueling test, he discovered he could manipulate water, creating barriers and projectiles to navigate through a treacherous underwater maze. As Noah demonstrated this new ability, gasps echoed through the observation chamber. Council member Zara's eyes narrowed, her suspicion and fear palpable. The psychological evaluations proved equally challenging. Noah and Karina were subjected to intense questioning, Their minds probed for any sign of instability or hidden agendas. Through it all, their telepathic bond grew stronger, allowing them to support each other silently. One evening, as Noah prepared for bed in his quarters, a knock on the door startled him. He opened it to find Ambassador Elena Reyes standing there, her face etched with concern. "Dr. Jackson, may I come in?" she asked, glancing nervously down the hallway. Noah nodded, stepping aside to let her enter. Once inside, Elena's professional demeanor crumbled. "Noah, I have to warn you," she said, her voice low. "Earth's government is considering classifying you as a potential security risk due to your genetic changes. If you go through with the bonding ceremony, you may be barred from returning to Earth." The news hit Noah like a physical blow. He sank onto the edge of his bed, his heart pounding. I might never be able to go home." Elena nodded solemnly. "I'm sorry, Noah. I felt you needed to know before making any decisions." As Elena left, Noah reached out to Karina through their telepathic link, sharing the devastating news. Her response was immediate and filled with love and support. The next day, as Noah and Karina prepared for their genetic compatibility assessment, they were interrupted by a commotion in the hallway. Council member Zara burst into the lab, her scales flashing with agitation. "I have evidence," she announced, brandishing a datapad. "Ancient records show a connection between the Sabotage and gem Hadar involving genetic experimentation. The consequences were disastrous. Dr. Jackson's transformation could be a resurgence of this dangerous tampering with Sabotage biology." The lab erupted into chaos as scientists and officials argued over the implications of Zara's revelation. In the midst of the uproar, Noah felt a sudden, sharp sense of danger through his link with Karina. Before he could react, the lab's windows shattered as a group of extremist Sabotage burst in. They moved with military precision, heading straight for Noah. "Grab the human," one of them shouted. "We'll prove the dangers of this abomination." Noah's newfound reflexes kicked in. He ducked under the first attacker's grasp, using his ability to manipulate water to create a slick surface beneath their feet. The extremist slipped and stumbled, giving Noah a chance to make a break for the door. As he ran, he sensed Karina's presence nearby. She appeared at the end of the hallway, her eyes wide with fear and dedication. "Noah!" she called out, reaching for him. They clasped hands, their telepathic bond surging with shared adrenaline and commitment. Together they faced the approaching extremists, ready to fight for their future and the future of human-Sabotage relations. The sound of alarms filled the air as security forces rushed to respond to the attack. Noah and Karina stood their ground, knowing that the outcome of this confrontation would shape not only their lives, but the fate of two worlds. Species. The ground shook beneath their feet as an explosion rocked the building, sending debris cascading from the ceiling. "We need to get out of here," Noah shouted, pulling Karina towards the exit. As they burst out of the facility, they were met with chaos. The sky was filled with the ominous shapes of gem Hadar ships, raining destruction upon the Sabotage capital. Civilians ran for cover as energy blasts tore through buildings and streets. Noah's instincts kicked in. He raised his hands, concentrating intensely. A massive wall of water rose from a nearby canal, forming a protective barrier between a group of fleeing Sabotage and an incoming energy blast. The water hissed and steamed as it absorbed the attack. Karina's eyes darted around, her enhanced senses picking up minute details. "Noah, 3 o'clock!" she called out telepathically. Without hesitation, Noah spun and launched a barrage of water projectiles at the approaching gem Hadar soldiers. The high-pressure streams knocked them off their feet, buying precious seconds for a group of human scientists to escape. As they moved through the city, Noah and Karina found themselves naturally falling into a rhythm. Their telepathic bond allowed them to coordinate their efforts seamlessly, protecting civilians and repelling gem Hadar attacks with unparalleled efficiency. Amidst the chaos, they spotted Ambassador Elena Reyes, desperately trying to organize a group of human diplomats. Noah created a water shield to deflect incoming fire as they approached. "Ambassador," Karina called out, "we need to get you to safety." Elena's eyes widened as she took in Noah's appearance, his scales now more prominent than ever. "Dr. Jackson, we need your help. The Sabotage Council is in disarray, and we're trying to coordinate a joint defense." Noah nodded grimly. Lead the way. We'll cover you. As they made their way towards the council chambers, a familiar voice called out, "Stop right there." They turned to see Commander Vex, a high-ranking Hadar officer, approaching with a squad of soldiers. His eyes were fixed on Noah and Karina with an unsettling intensity. "You two," Vex growled, "are the key to everything." Noah stepped forward, water swirling around his hands. "We're not going anywhere with you." Vex held up his hands in a gesture of peace. "You misunderstand. We're not here to capture you. We need your help." Karina's brow furrowed. "Help? You're attacking our city." "A necessary evil," Vex replied, his voice tinged with desperation. "Our species is dying. Centuries of inbreeding have left us genetically weak. But you two, your hybrid biology could be our salvation." The revelation hit Noah and Karina like a physical blow. They exchanged a glance, their telepathic link buzzing with shared shock and confusion. Before they could respond, another explosion rocked the area. A nearby building began to crumble, threatening to crush a group of trapped Saleh civilians. Without hesitation, Noah reached out with his powers, using water to create support structures and clear a path for the civilians to escape. Karina guided them to safety, her enhanced senses allowing her to navigate through the dust and debris. As the last civilian was pulled to safety, Noah turned back to Vex. "If you want our help, call off this attack. We can talk, but not like this." Vex hesitated, then nodded sharply. He raised a communication device to his mouth, barking orders in the Hadar language. Gradually, the sounds of battle began to diminish. Noah and Karina shared a moment of relief, but they knew the real challenges were just beginning. As they made their way to the council chambers with Vex and Elena in tow, Noah couldn't help but marvel at the surreal nature of their situation. Here they were, a human-turned-hybrid and a Saleh, escorting a Hadar commander and a human ambassador through the war-torn streets of an alien city. Their arrival at the council chambers caused an immediate uproar. Council member Zara's voice rose above the din, her scales flashing with anger. "Traitors! You dare bring our enemies here?" Elena stepped forward, her diplomatic training evident in her calm demeanor. "Council members, please. We have an opportunity here for unprecedented cooperation." As Elena began to outline the situation, Noah felt a sudden, sharp pain in his abdomen. He doubled over, gasping. Through their link, he could feel Karina experiencing the same discomfort. "Noah?" Elena turned, concern etched on her face. "What's wrong?" Before he could answer, an ancient symbol on the chamber wall began to glow. The pain in Noah's body intensified, and he could feel his very DNA shifting, changing at an accelerated rate. Karina reached out, grasping his hand. As their skin made contact, a surge of energy passed between them. The symbol on the wall pulsed brighter, and suddenly the three of them, Noah, Karina, and Vex, were enveloped in a field of shimmering energy. Inside the field, time seemed to slow. Noah watched in fascination and horror as his body continued to change. Scales spread across his skin, gills formed on his neck. Beside him, Karina's features shifted, becoming more human-like. And Vex, the Hadar commander's body was transforming as well, taking on characteristics of both human and Saleh biology. As the energy field pulsed around them, Noah realized they stood at a crossroads of history. The choices they made in the coming moments would shape the future of not just two, but three species. The weight of that responsibility was enormous, but as he looked at Karina, he knew they would face it together. The energy field began to flicker and fade, revealing their transformed bodies to the stunned council members and diplomats. In the silence that followed, Noah took a deep breath, preparing to address the assembled leaders and chart a course for their shared future. Future, not just for themselves, but for all three species involved. As the energy field dissipated completely, Noah, Karina, and Vex stood before the astonished crowd, their bodies transformed into living bridges between their respective species. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices, some expressing awe, others fear, and still others excitement at the possibilities that lay before them. In the days that followed, as the dust settled from the Hadar attack, Noah and Karina found themselves at the center of intense scientific scrutiny. Their bodies, now stabilized into a unique blend of human and Soleil traits, became the subject of fascination for researchers from all three species. Noah marveled at his reflection in the lab's polished surfaces. His skin now bore a subtle pattern of iridescent scales, while gills fluttered gently at the sides of his neck. He flexed his webbed fingers, still amazed at how natural they felt. Beside him, Karina's transformation was equally striking. Her features had softened, taking on more human-like characteristics while retaining the ethereal beauty of the Soleil. Her eyes, once entirely black, now had distinct irises that shifted color with her moods. As they underwent a battery of tests, their telepathic bond grew stronger, allowing them to communicate silently and share their experiences on a profound level. They found comfort in each other's presence, an anchor in the storm of change swirling around them. One afternoon, as they took a break from the endless examinations, Ambassador Elena Reyes approached them, her face alight with excitement. "Noah, Karina," she said, barely containing her enthusiasm. "I have wonderful news. The Soleil Council has called for a historic session. They're going to vote on approving your bonding ceremony." Noah's heart leaped. He turned to Karina, their eyes meeting in a moment of shared joy. Through their bond, he felt her excitement mirror his own. "When?" Karina asked, her voice trembling slightly. "The session is scheduled for tomorrow," Elena replied. "And if all goes well, they're proposing to make your ceremony the centerpiece of a week-long celebration of interspecies cooperation." The next day, Noah and Karina sat hand in hand in the rebuilt council chambers, their fingers intertwined as they watched history unfold before them. The room was packed with representatives from all three species, an unprecedented gathering that spoke volumes about the changes their union had sparked. As the votes were tallied, Noah felt Karina's grip tighten. He sent a wave of reassurance through their bond, feeling her gratitude in return. When the final count was announced, an overwhelming approval for their bonding ceremony, the chamber erupted in cheers. Council member Zara, who had once viewed their relationship with suspicion, approached them after the session. Her scales shimmered with an emotion Noah now recognized as humility. "Dr. Jackson, Karina," she said, her voice soft, "I owe you both an apology. Your courage and dedication have opened my eyes to the possibilities of true cooperation between our peoples. I hope you'll allow me to attend your ceremony." Noah nodded, feeling Karina's approval through their link. "We'd be honored," he replied. The days leading up to the ceremony passed in a whirlwind of preparations. The capital city of Soleil was transformed, adorned with a harmonious blend of human, Soleil, and Hadar decorations. Streets that had seen battle just weeks before now bustled with excited visitors from all three worlds. On the morning of the ceremony, Noah stood before a mirror in his quarters, adjusting the specially designed suit that accommodated his new physiology. The fabric shimmered like water, complementing his scales perfectly. He took a deep breath, his gills fluttering slightly with the motion. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. He opened it to find Commander Vex standing there, looking almost uncomfortable in his formal Hadar attire. "Dr. Jackson," Vex said, his voice gruff but not unkind, "I wanted to speak with you before the ceremony." Noah invited him in, curious about what the Hadar commander had to say. Vex hesitated for a moment, then spoke. "What you and Karina have done, it's more than just a union between two individuals. You've given my people hope for a future we thought was lost. I want you to know that the Hadar stand with you today and in the days to come." Touched by the commander's words, Noah extended his hand. After a moment's pause, Vex grasped it, their transformed physiologies a testament to the changes they had all undergone. As Noah made his way to the ancient Soleil temple, now repurposed as a symbol of unity, he felt a sense of anticipation building. Through their bond, he could sense Karina's excitement and love, a constant warmth in his mind. The temple was filled to capacity, with attendees from all three species seated side by side. As Noah took his place at the front, he saw Ambassador Reyes beaming at him from the front row, alongside Soleil elders and Hadar officials. The music changed, and Noah turned to see Karina entering the temple. Her dress was a marvel of design, highlighting her new human-like features while incorporating traditional Soleil elements. As their eyes met, Noah felt a surge of emotion so strong it nearly overwhelmed him. The ceremony began, a beautiful blend of traditions from all three species. Ambassador Reyes stepped forward, guiding Noah through human wedding vows. Her voice carried clearly through the temple as she spoke of love, commitment, and the bridges they were building between worlds. Next, a Soleil elder led Karina through their species bonding rituals, his words weaving a tapestry of unity and shared purpose. Noah watched in awe as Karina's scales shimmered with joy, her human-like eyes glistening with tears of happiness. Then, in a move that sent a ripple of surprise through the gathering, Commander Vex stepped forward. In his hands, he held a small, intricately carved box. As a gesture of the gem Hadar's commitment to peace, Vex announced, his voice strong and clear, "I present to you this rare gem Hadar crystal. It is said to bring harmony to those who possess it. May it symbolize the unity we seek between our peoples." As Noah and Karina accepted the crystal, its surface began to glow softly, responding to their touch. They exchanged a look of wonder, feeling the crystal's energy resonating with their own bond. The climax of the ceremony approached. Noah and Karina turned to face each other, their hands clasped tightly. As they began to exchange their personal vows, something extraordinary happened. Their telepathic bond, usually invisible to others, manifested as a soft, shimmering glow that enveloped them both. Gasps of awe rippled through the audience as the physical manifestation of Noah and Karina's mental and emotional connection became visible to all. The glow pulsed gently, growing brighter with each word of love and commitment they spoke. As their vows concluded, Noah and Karina sealed their union with a kiss. The glow surrounding them flared brilliantly for a moment, then settled into a gentle aura that continued to surround them. The assembled crowd rose to their feet, applauding and cheering. Noah looked out at the sea of faces, human, Soleil, and Gem Hadar, all united in celebration of their union. In that moment, he felt the weight of what they had accomplished, and the promise of what was yet to come. But the ceremony wasn't over yet. With a smile, Karina took Noah's hand and led him towards a large, ornate aquarium that had been prepared for the occasion. It was time for the traditional Soleil underwater dance, a display of unity and harmony that would cap off their historic bonding. As they approached the water's edge, Noah felt a thrill of excitement. He glanced at Karina, seeing his own anticipation mirrored in her eyes. With a shared nod, they dove into the crystal-clear waters, ready to demonstrate the beauty of their union to the world.
If you finished this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.